Well, turns out that Gen Z is going to conquer the world. I saw a statistic earlier that said there were about 6 million new jobs, not jobs, new businesses created by Gen Z last year in 2024, which is amazing. And it's actually commendable because as a Gen Xer, I kind of looked at Gen Z as the kids with the iPad and the iPhones in their face, kind of like what I'm doing right now. And I thought, man, this generation doesn't have a chance. But turns out they're trading in their electronics and their iPhones and all that for hammers and machines and skills, because there's actually a 16% increase in trade school enrollment last year based on statistics. And growing up as a Gen Xer, we were told that we were supposed to graduate from high school, maybe get a GED, go to college, take out a big loan, and get into a nice big company, work there for about 40 years, retire with a pension, and live the rest of your life in retirement. And well, how'd that turn out for us, guys? Anyway, I think Gen Z has something going for them right now because there's a lot, from my experience, there's a lot of Gen Zers that are looking for the trades. They're going into HVAC, they're going into CNC machining, what this channel is about, and they're going into business, which is awesome. I think there should be more and more people going into business. And what I think happened was an accident that actually turned out for Gen Z, because nowadays you can tell the housing is so unaffordable. Rents are so unaffordable. And that turned out to be a blessing for Gen Z, because if they can't afford to pay rent, they're forced to stay home and stay longer with mom and dad or whoever, which gives them more disposable income. So they're going to work, coming home, and they're not having to pay rent. They might not even have to buy food or whatever their parents supply to them, and which actually turns out to be a perfect situation for them, because if you don't have to pay rent and your expenses are lower, you have more time and more money to put into business. So I think what a lot of them are doing are actually running businesses out of their garages, out of the bedrooms. And I think a lot of them are making T-shirts and selling them on Amazon and Etsy, and I think we're gonna start to see a change in this country and in this world with the demographics being so young. Not to mention the technology that we have nowadays with the internet and all the connectivity that we have. Not to mention the apps, the just better apps they have nowadays for them. And I mean, when I was younger, we had pagers, and we'd text our friends just numerical codes and stuff, and we were supposed to figure out, what that meant. But nowadays, like, you look at your iPhone, you ask Siri to find a direction for you, whatever, and it's just automatic. And I think that's a major tool for the younger generation. So yeah, I think Gen Z has something going for them. It's not all Gen Z, but there's plenty of them to make a difference. I've noticed. And this channel, we're about manufacturing, CNC, and also home-based businesses. I think a lot more people are choosing home-based businesses because the job market right now is tough. A lot of people being laid off. You hear about thousands of them daily getting laid off from big companies. Microsoft, Facebook, I think, laid off some people. Intel laid off thousands of people. And with this advent of AI, creation is going to be generated by a computer. But I think that I think Gen Z, they have some creativity in them too. And I think they're going to start a new sector that's not necessarily AI created, but it's going to be AI as a tool, and I think it's just gonna be great for them. So, but yeah, I remember when I was younger, I would I'd want soda, and my parents would not give it to me. And I got older, and now I can drink all the soda I want. That's probably why I'm pre-diabetic. But anyway, that's for another story. But I think that's kind of what happened with these younger generations. They were given these iPads and iPhones and stuff, and I think they had it, and they're like, okay, I'm good. Let's move on. Let's do something else. And then they start to realize that you know the job market stinks. Housing is expensive, and there's no way that they're going to be on their own unless they do something about it. And I think they figured it out. I think they realized that going into trade schools, starting businesses, doing stuff on their own, and looking on YouTube and getting a YouTube certification or whatever it's called, that's going to help them succeed. And I think it's a good thing. You know, some of it can be a good thing. You know, as long as they stay focused and they're not distracted, because it's so easy to get distracted by technology nowadays. But anyway, I just want to do this little short video and just give props to Gen Z, those who are starting businesses and going into trade schools. You got this.